Hello and welcome everyone, a new episode of Money Means Business. It's the 1st of July, meaning that yesterday we were celebrating 10 years after the 30th of June revolution. 10 years ago, it was not our Egypt. Today, it's our Egypt. Our Egypt in all ways, in all fields, and thank God we are witnessing a development in all domains. And taking into consideration that the whole world is suffering from global changes and challenges in the same time. We are trying to do our best to cope with the surroundings and at the same time to regain our position as Egypt, the big one. Today, according to our program, we are going to tackle on the economic side of the coin. And today it's going to be about particularly investment and how to attract direct and indirect investment to Egypt. Efforts exerted not only today but throughout the past period. Right after the short break, we are going to turn back with more, so stay tuned. Welcome back, and we do have a lot to speak about, but first let me welcome my dear guest live here in the studio, His Excellency Ambassador Ayoub Mahmoud Ayoub, former commercial minister. Thank you very much for being with us,
Good
sir.
evening to you and to the viewers.
Sir, let's start immediately. First, I would say congratulations, of course, to every Egyptian marking the 10th anniversary of the 30th of June revolution.
Congratulations.
Sir, there are a lot of efforts and a lot of steps taken by the state as the political leadership is, and I think will continue to be very keen to enhance the investments in Egypt, direct or indirect, to boost the economic, the national economy, and to eliminate all obstacles or hinders in the way in front of new entrepreneurs, investors, whether Egyptians or foreigners. And exactly in April 2024, a very important presidential decree, the decree number 141
23
of the year
2023.
2023,
Yes.
to establish the Supreme Council of Investments presided by the president. Before
Himself.
going into the details and some of the most important decisions taken by the council, better late than never?
It is good that it happened. We say at last, but it is good that it happened, and at a critical moment. When the world is witnessing inflation and chains of supply are disrupted in many ways, and Egypt with its strategic location on the top of Africa and nearing Asia and very near to Europe, with this strategic location, we are making use of it for attracting investment, or rather more investment to Egypt. This is very important for the economy, for the citizen, for the individual, and for the region as a whole. As we know, Egypt has many advantages as far as population, more than 100 million. That is by itself a big market. Second, it has very good economic and bilateral and commercial relations with the North Africa, Arab countries, and also with African countries. So we have access to the African markets, and let us say preferential trade agreements with all of African countries, whether east or west or north or south. These are levers which we use to enhance investing in Egypt for foreign investors, whether from China, from America, from
All
whatever,
over
from
the
Europe.
world. And we are going to discuss some, or they are a lot, they are more than 20, but some of the recommendations, or some of the elements which were, or points declared by the council. Regarding establishing companies, the council approved draft resolution aiming to study the amendments on some articles. Why? The amendments would make it easier for companies to be established and operate in Egypt.
This point, exactly this point, was the critical point for many would-be investors.
Yes.
Because they are asking, how long will it take us to establish a presence in Egypt? In some countries like Dubai and so on, it is a matter of a couple of days, 24 hours, 48 hours. When we are coping with the environment, we are coping with the needs of the market, and or rather, let us say, we are coping with the needs of the investors or would-be investor. What do they want? There was a big investment forum presided by the president himself to listen. It is very important, this word, to listen. What do they need? When they enumerated what is needed from the government, and it cropped out in a higher council for investing, presided by the president himself. Which means that the state.
We're watching some of the meetings, by the way, of the
Yes,
president in
that's why.
presiding over the Supreme Council for Investment.
So the investor knows that the president himself is keen to know what he needs and do what is needed for the sake of the economy, of course. There is a mutual benefit in this case. It is a win-win situation.
And if there is any shortcoming, the one accountable for this shortcoming is going to be sidelined. Because
Yes.
the president said it even more than once. The one who cannot fulfill the mission, he should be at home. I mean,
Step
we
aside.
do not have the luxury of wasting more time. This
we
is what I
we
wanted
cannot
to
waste
say.
any time, especially for investment, because many countries are competing to attract investors. Egypt is on the top in this respect, thanks to the Supreme Council for the Investment presided by the president himself, and also the legislations issued to enable any would-be investor to come establish a presence and they begin work within a very short time, knowing beforehand how long does it take for him to establish presence, how long will it take him to acquire the land and import the machinery and equipment which he needs, and how long it will take him to deliver the goods to the market, whether local market or for overseas markets. When we see this chain of infrastructure which was established during the last, let's say, 10 years, this means that the investors are coming with a
There's a solid background.
clear roadmap.
Solid ground.
Yes.
I mean,
Solid ground,
Solid
yes.
ground. And to add to what we have just said, some related points, the council endorsed a 10-day approval process. 10-day approval process for all necessary requirements when establishing a company.
Just 10 days.
Just 10 days.
Not 3 months or 4 months or
Just
2
10
years.
days.
Just 10 days this means that the bureaucracy knows beforehand that they have to finish their job, work 24 hours or whatever every day, so that the investors knows before within 10 days. This means that it can be less than 10 days.
The move aims to
Yes.
boost investor confidence
Yes.
and simplify the process of conducting business in the country. You know, sir, here, my comment on
Yes.
this. We are fighting corruption in all domains, in all
Yes, of
fields.
course. Yes, you are.
In my humble opinion, bureaucracy is a kind of corruption.
A kind
Corruption.
of course, it is. Because they try to complicate things so that they have the lever in their hand, they can say yes or no, and this is corruption by itself. When everything is clear, black and white, the investor knows for sure how long will it take, 6 days or 7 days, maximum 10 days, as you mentioned now. He will have all the bureaucratic regulations are completed. Of course, there should be a bureaucracy.
No,
In the good sense of
regulations,
the word.
rules, but
Yeah, rules, yes.
whenever there are
Regulations,
things
yes.
which can be done in 10 days
Yes.
rather than 3 months, as you kindly mentioned, so why we should wait?
It
To
is
con-
as
to
simple
con-
as this. It is
Yep.
10 days deadline.
Yeah. The council also approved amendments to the electronic signature law. The amendments will
Yes.
make it easier for businesses to use electronic signatures, which will further streamline the business process.
This is a very important step, because now electronic signature and electronic dealings are the mood. These are the language of today.
Digitalization.
Digitalization.
The new Egypt, the new
So
republic.
we have to cope with the needs of the investor. He needs electronic signature. He needs it, and that's why it is decreed. So whatever is necessary for the investor is implemented now, and we see the results, the influx of investors. We will see it. It will take time, of course. It will take time, of course. Let's say months or whatever, but we will see it in the form. When we see that India is establishing a strategic partnership with Egypt, why? Because they know that the president himself is keen to attract investors from India. The Prime Minister of India, Modi, was here last week. China is establishing president. Russia, the European Union, even the Arab countries.
South Africa and Brazil, and this
Yes.
is BRICS.
The BRICS countries.
BRICS countries, which inshallah we are going to join soon.
BRICS, yes.
Also, the General Authority for Investment and Free Zones will collaborate with the relevant authorities to create a single online platform for project investment, operation, and settlement.
Single.
Single.
That is this
Single
word.
platform.
This is a password. A single platform. This is very important for the investors, because the investor does not have the money, the time, or opportunities to waste in going to have a decrease from several organizations. What is one window, and the deadline of 10 days. When I say 10 days, this means the maximum.
Yeah?
This is the maximum. This means that within 2 or 3 or 1 week, he should have his He's dealing with
license, yeah,
the
and we are
license
going to continue
issue.
with the golden license issue because this is another issue.
Yes, another
But
issue.
here, this is also another important step taken. The Council tasked the Ministry of Justice to draft legislative amendments to overcome restrictions related to land ownership and facilitate foreigners' ownership of the real estate, approving the expanding and beginning. No, this is something else, the golden license. So here, when it comes to our national security,
Yep.
when it comes to things which we should have the draft laws issued by the Ministry of Justice in collaboration with the Ministry of Defense, of course, because this is
Yes,
our
of
national
course.
security. But we are going in both directions. I mean,
At the same time, it's a
preserving
parallel,
our
two
national
parallel lines,
security
yes.
and in the same time facilitating the way in front of foreign investors. How do you see this kind of full harmony among state-concerned bodies?
The word harmony is very important because in many cases we find that the investor finds himself in a fix. He cannot move because 2 or 3 organizations must agree on his project. He gets approval from one, and he wastes some more time because there is no harmony. When there is harmony between the different organizations, whether from civil security point of view, or from economic point of view, or from investment point of view, and from development point of view, because at the end of the day, we are looking to raising the standard of living, encouraging more investment, and also helping the private sector in Egypt to mushroom and play its important role in development, because we always depend on the local investors because they are the backbone. That is very important. We are encouraging foreign investors. In many cases, the foreign investor prefers to deal with the local investor so that things are very clear and time is saved in this way.
Yep.
Thanks to the decrees or 22 decrees which was issued, and I'm sure that it will reflect positively on the atmosphere, or let us say the environment in which foreign investors, they are keen to come to Egypt and to work in Egypt and to make benefit of the many, I say the many facilities which were created for them, and the infrastructure which was
Potentials
Yes.
and resources, you name
A lot.
it. Yes.
a lot.
The Council also approved a draft resolution to create a monitoring unit
A monitoring.
within the cabinet to oversee state-owned companies. Nothing is going just to go haphazardly, but the monitoring unit is going all the time to be there to give incentives to those who are highly productive and to make sure that others are not going to postpone or to delay their productivity.
When we say a monitoring unit, this means that the Prime Minister is responsible to ensure that the decrees which were issued are implemented properly and quickly and in the proper
Not ink
form.
on paper anymore.
That
But
is-
let me here
Yes.
say what are the jobs of the monitoring unit.
Yes, please.
The unit will collect data on these companies, make binding, and would you please underline
Binding,
the
yeah.
word, binding
Binding, yes.
decisions on restructuring, and report to the President and the Cabinet every 3 months.
You said report to the President. This means that the monitoring has a vital job to do, and I will see it will be like the central nervous system, that it is the success of these initiatives depends on the proper performance of this monitoring unit, which is very important. It will be a small unit, but of highly or very highly qualified personnel who will be the personnel. The staffing is very important. Very efficient and dedicated personnel should be in this monitoring unit, because
And they know that they do have deadlines every 3 months,
the
meaning
word
that
deadline is very important.
4 times a year.
Yes,
4 times a year.
Yes.
This is not an easy job
it is not.
at all.
Yes.
The Council approved a draft resolution preventing any entity from issuing regulatory decisions which add financial or procedural burdens to projects subject to the investment law.
This
No
should
more.
be highlighted to the investors.
Yes?
When they see this, it is very clear that no single organization has any right, whatever the organization is, has any right to issue any obstacles or any adding financial burdens or time burdens or all these things. That is a very important thing for the investors to know beforehand. And this will ensure them that we are serious about attracting the investors to come to Egypt and invest tomorrow, not after one month.
Yep. Amen to that. Of the most important issues our investors or owners of factories were suffering more than 10 years ago or in the
More
past
than, yes.
3 or 4 decades even, taxes.
Yes, that's right.
And those factories who unfortunately closed their doors and they were suffering from the accumulations of these taxes or fees, they were one of the top priorities in front of the president and in front of our economic circle of, or our ministerial economic circle, to be
Yes.
accurate. So in more than one statement, this issue was considered, managed, and let's say dealt with or treated.
Dealt with.
To reduce financial and tax burdens on investors, the Council approved a draft resolution which is regulated by, let's underline the two coming words, clear mechanisms and conditions to impose improvement fees according to related laws. The resolution establishes the basis for calculating each case. So there is nothing just in general and like that.
Nothing, yes.
No, each case has its own circumstances and will be judged according to their circumstances.
Let us face the facts.
Yeah?
In many cases, we found that in 2015, there was investment forum in Sharm el-Sheikh, and we expected $155 billion to pour, and it did not happen. Why? Because when I read the investment law of that time,
Yeah. The new
found-
investment law, it was issued in 2016, including the financial inclusion issue.
Yes. When I
Remind me if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, please.
it is 2015.
2015?
2015, yes.
I mean, it was approved 2015 or 2016?
It was approved before the forum.
The forum in Sharm el-Sheikh.
Yes, in Sharm
Yes.
el-Sheikh. So it was 15. When I read the decree on investment, I feel, well, I am not a pessimist, but I am optimist, of course. This will not encourage foreign investors. Why? At that time of
At that time.
at that time, let's be clear about that.
Yeah.
Every step he has to pay money. Every step there are taxes. So any would-be investors, if he reads just one page of the investment law, he will just close, thank you, we will go elsewhere. Now we tackled this it is a big problem. When we see why they did not come after 2015 forum, because the investment law was for raising money. No, this is not the right way from economic point of view. Encourage the investors to come and invest, and the money will crop up.
Yep.
It is as simple as that. I am not going into the details in this respect, but rather the very general idea. Encourage the investors to come and produce and export, or import substitution. This by itself is a big contribution to the national economy. And that is why the president himself was keen to relieve all the obstacles which were put in the road of the would-be investors, and now they know for sure that within 10 days everything should be cleared, and at the same time the cost involved is minimal. The cost is very important for any investor or any business person. He is looking over for the cost, because the cost he relates it to revenue. So he always looks at the cost. Minimize the cost, this will increase the investment. It is as simple as this. Minimize the cost for investing, this will increase investors, and this will be beneficial to the economy as a whole. This is something very important, which thanks to the president has that he has issued this decree and he is presenting it himself.
Another draft resolution was passed to the Ministry of Justice to swiftly complete changes to the law on transferring profits to parents and subsidiary companies. This will help reduce taxes and avoid double taxation, which was a very big issue in front of a parent, we call it a parent company, therefore encouraging both domestic and foreign investment. Double taxation.
Double taxation.
Yeah.
This is the word. When I am encouraging investor from Germany,
For example.
or Britain or America or Russia or whatever, and he knows for sure, because he is a German company or British or whatever, that he will be paying taxes in his own country, and at the same time there is double taxation agreement with Egypt. This encourages him to come and with clear vision that he will not pay tax twice on the same operation. This is a very important for double taxation. To avoid double taxation is the call for investors. Please come and invest, and you will be relieved of any taxes, double taxation in this respect.
Yeah.
That is a very important point, because many investors de-invested because of double taxation.
Yeah.
Now they are not de-investing, they are reinvesting in Egypt.
Amen
That's
to
very
that.
important.
The Council approved a draft resolution to utilize the International Finance Corporation, the IFC, in order to contract with global consulting firm to develop a clear shared vision and strategy for investment in Egypt.
IFC is a very important forum for Egypt to attract or encourage or let them know first that we have this project, we have this roadmap, we have this infrastructure, we have this clear mandate as far as timing is concerned. So they come with a clear vision at how much will it take them of time. When we say maximum 10 days, this enables the would-be investors to come and invest in Egypt with his clear vision that investing and the revenue or his profits, he can easily transfer it to overseas in his own currency. That is very important.
In a related context, and this was in April 2023, just few weeks, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago,
Yes.
the World Bank Group Board of Executive Directors approved the new country partnership framework for Egypt, the CPF, laying out the World Bank Group strategy in Egypt. It's aligning with the government of Egypt's Sustainable Development Strategy, Egypt Vision 2030, to build upon a strong set of World Bank Group analytics, including the systematic country diagnostic, the country private sector, you name it, and the country climate and development sector, seeking to accomplish its objectives by achieving high-level outcomes.
High level. When we involve with the World Bank in our dealing, this is a big institution. This international institution, when it gives me the green light, or let us say that come to Egypt, it's safe enough and lucrative market enough, that is very important for me. Beside the IFC, all of the World Bank can play and is playing and will be playing an important role in encouraging would-be investors to come to this market. It is a market for them, and with clear vision what it costs them, and the clear vision that the remuneration is higher than other markets, and that is something very important that they liaised with the World Bank beside the IFC, of course.
Because when the World Bank sees that we are doing this here, and we do have all these points and all these draft resolutions already signed, so we are working on the ground. I mean, it's not only ink on paper. We are implementing or applying what we agree upon. The resolutions are not only released, no, they are implemented.
We are applying what
Yes.
we agreed on. That is a very important for the second row of bureaucracy, will I say.
To end here with this, the
Yes.
Council assessed the establishment of a permanent unit within the Cabinet,
Within the cabinet. Yes.
led by the CEO of the General Authority for Investment, tasked with what? Developing policies, laws, regulations to promote the growth and prosperity of startups in Egypt.
To the growth.
Yep.
The word growth is very important because we are looking for a reasonable growth in foreign investors who are coming to Egypt. And when I see that the president, the prime minister, and the minister of investing are keen to establish clear vision as far as would-be investors are coming to Egypt to explore, not explore only, but rather to begin their work within 10 days limit. It is something very important, and it makes them sure that their investing in Egypt is more lucrative than in other markets. That we are competing with other markets, and we know there are other markets in other countries, whether in the area or other locations, are competing for when you are making it easy, clear, and lucrative. Lucrative is very important.
Yeah.
Because when I say lucrative, I mean we have a big market and you have also access to a bigger market. A big market is 110 million consumers, and another bigger market is with the African continent. We are a gate for Africa, so many
Sure.
companies are coming to Egypt to establish presence so that they can penetrate to African markets through the Egyptian initiatives.
Sorry, sir, I missed a very important point,
What
and
is
I
that?
cannot go without focusing on it. The Council directed a review to amend the 9 articles of the Special Economic Zones Law, adding several new articles. Why? To provide benefits and exemptions to the economic zone. The word economic zone, I think this is what's really happening all over the world,
Yes.
and the economic zone should enjoy a lot of incentives, a lot of facilities, a lot of amendments to make it, as I'm always saying, a win-win situation
Yes.
among all the participants. How do you see first the establishment of many economic zones and industrial zones here in Egypt, and the way we do exchange expertise between us and our allies worldwide?
That is, the economic zones are very important. Why? Because although it is in the country, it is a part of the country, but still it does not follow the same rules or the same procedures which the local producers or local manufacturers. So they are relieved of many of regulations which the local manufacturers face. The economic zones are, or free, let us say, called free zones. When say free, it is free from all the regulations which hinder the growth of foreign investors. So the economic zones or free zones, because when we have more than one, this means everyone will be specialized in a certain industry, and making it for Red Sea, all the Red Sea, and in the Mediterranean Sea, and even in the Western Desert, I see that foreign investors are coming to establish presence there. I have seen it in Siwa, for example. Foreign investors are coming to invest for the dates, just for the dates. When we see that a big harvest of dates is not fully utilized, and foreign investors are coming to make proper use of my resources, this means that the economic zones can be on the Red Sea, on the Mediterranean Sea, and also in the Western Desert. So there is a lot of investment opportunities also in the Western Desert, and this is a big area where the foreign investors have to be encouraged. Let them go and see first, and they will come and invest in Egypt.
Amen to that. Since you were mentioning this issue, sir, we are going to, or I'm going to have some good news regarding expat investor plans to establish Egypt's first international medical city. Because I really was happy when I read that yesterday, and it reminded me of this important piece of news. The Viceroy for Cheshire County, UK, and the chairperson of the board of directors of the St. George Healthcare Group, Nasser Fouad, announced that he is currently working with a group of investors to establish the first international medical city in Egypt. The city will include an integrated university for medical sciences, English Medical College, a college for physiotherapy, a college of nursing, the degrees of which are awarded directly from the UK for the first time in Egypt. This is
So
another example, I
It is
mean.
a very good point to raise. Creating a medical center in Egypt. Medical center, I mean, this means the infrastructure, the universities, and the factories, and the companies who are coming to invest. Because when they come to Egypt,
Those our expats, our Egyptians
for the Egyptian
abroad.
express only.
Yeah, no,
That is
our
very
Egyptian
important. Yes,
expats.
yes.
Now, when everything was published, I mean, you can find all of this on the internet.
Yes, you can.
And just Google Egypt investment, and you are gonna find a lot to tell you. So, of course, when they knew that this is happening, so it's time to turn back. It's time to benefit our country,
when
our
we
homeland.
go to Abu Zabal area and see this city is beginning, and same factories are beginning to import the machinery and equipment from overseas, beside the university, of course, this means that we mean business. This means that within a very short time, we will find the factories and the production will be, because Egypt is importing almost more than 70% of its needs of medicines, pharmaceutical, more than 70%.
More than, I'm not sure about the number, but I think, but even if this is true, I think this is going to change completely. Now, we do have this kind of full cooperation, for example, between us and many other countries. India, for example, the generic drug for hepatitis C, with which we managed to get rid of this catastrophic or
100 million, yes.
nightmare virus. It was
This is a good example.
It was our medications. It was our drug.
Yes.
Anyways, sir, this is all because we are running out of time. Unfortunately, I wanted to end with this, with the investment opportunities in Egypt between aspirations and challenges. This was the name of the press and information of team of the EU delegation to Egypt. What were they saying? Investment is, of course, not a new area of our bilateral relationship. It's an important component of EU-Egypt relations. This is what Ambassador Christian Berger, head of the EU delegation, is saying.
We are very pleased to see that the EU is coming with all its weight to establish a presence in the Egyptian market, because in this way, it is a big market, it is a part of a bigger market, and also I have the infrastructure, and I have the let us say, technicians who are able.
I have 2 minutes, and I do have 2 statements to comment on.
Please.
Egypt has many advantages as an investment destination. All what I'm going to say, it's said by Ambassador Christian Berger, His Excellency, of course, Ambassador Christian Berger, head of the EU delegation to Egypt. Egypt has many advantages as an investment destination.
We are the best place for the European companies to establish a presence in this part of the world. And they are benefiting a lot through the earlier or the sooner the better for them.
We will continue to accompany Egypt with the planned reforms.
This means that they have the strong intentions, strong will, let us say, to cooperate with Egypt on a larger scale and on a deeper scale, so that within a very short time we'll see the results on the ground in the form of the factories which will be here, and in production and products, and also in the exports from Egypt to other countries.
Last but not least, we remain available to help Egypt streamline its investment framework and jointly take advantage of shared opportunities through strengthened cooperation.
This cooperation is very important for both parties because we need to know and we need to learn from others. We are advanced in many in areas, but still they have their own advantages, which we can learn a lot from European countries when they come and transfer of their technology to the Egyptian market, which by itself is a big market and is a lucrative market from their point of view and from the point of view of any investors, whether from Europe or from China or from Russia or from America. They are most welcome.
Amen to that. Sir, as usually, I enjoyed our discussion, and
Thank
we are going to leave you with a promise to see you again in more episodes of our programs
Inshallah.
on Nile TV International.
Thank you.
We were very much delighted and honored to have with us live here in the studio His Excellency Ambassador Ayoub Mahmoud Ayoub, former commercial minister. Now it's time to have a quick look at the most important economic events which took place in the past 7 days. Well, again, happy 10th anniversary of the 30th of June revolution. Again and again, now we are living in our Egypt, and this is very important. And we are heading to the new Republic Egypt 2030. It's not that far. We are going not only to enjoy it, but to guarantee that, inshallah, the coming generations are going to enjoy our beloved homeland. Well, that's all for now. Stay tuned. With all my love, this was Nermeen Abdurrahman.